After more than a day of intensive discussions, China and the United States further explored solutions for properly addressing each other's concerns on the aforementioned issues, reaching preliminary consensus.
Well, our international affairs commentator Doug Herbert is joining me here on set. Doug, already markets very much rallying in an expectation of some kind of trade truce between China and the US by the end of the week.
Yeah, exactly. And expectation's it, right? This planned meeting between Trump and Xi Jinping isn't expected to take place until Thursday, right? 3 days from now in South Korea. And yet markets are already sort of rallying around just these sort of preliminary signs that there may be a deal that averts a trade war. Now let's be clear what's happening and what's not happening here. The reasons that markets are rallying, have rallied across Asia today and look to be up in Europe as well, are people are relieved that what had looked to be a really bad trade war in the brewing, a standoff of epic proportions between the U.S. and China may, and I have to say may, be averted. The signs are the Chinese and the U.S. are using slightly different languages, right? Scott Bessent, the U.S. Treasury Secretary, saying that they have a very successful framework that's been sort of hammered out over the weekend between the two sides that could avert a trade war. The Chinese using more sort of cautious, you could say dull diplomatic language, calling it preliminary consensus on some guidelines. But the bottom line is this. Right now, Trump had been threatening to slap 100% tariffs on China. Once a truce now in place expires in 2 weeks on November 10th. If this trade war is averted, they will extend that period of truce. That is, he will not raise the tariffs, and presumably neither will China beyond November 10th, perhaps even beyond a 90-day period, which has been the current length of the truce. But it also applies to, it's not just the tariffs will be averted. It means it would be big news for, as we heard, U.S. farmers, especially soybean farmers in certain states that make billions selling soybeans to China. China had basically stopped buying those. So this is big news. Also, the fight against fentanyl. You remember that, the opioid, and this would be cracking down. China would be going to crack down on companies that make chemicals that are precursors to the production of fentanyl. That would be a big deal as well. And obvious, I haven't said it yet, but perhaps the biggest headline out of all this is the rare earths. China has been has been curbing the exports of these rare earths, which are used to make everything from the batteries to electric cars, to jet fighters, to smartphones, you name it, critical for the United States and its manufacturing industry. So the fact that all of these might be either put on hold temporarily or scrapped altogether, that is music to the ears of investors, of markets, and all the way to farmers in, say, North Dakota and South Dakota in the U.S.
Yeah, a lot more to come of that later in the week, of course. I'm sure we'll be covering it here on France 24. In the meantime, though, Doug, I mean, today it's all about Japan, isn't it? Trump landing there just over an hour ago. He's going to be meeting with Japan's new Prime Minister. Trade very much in the main topic, really. I mean, is he going to be able to do deals with her?
Yeah, well, Sanae Takaichi campaigned on her tough persona. She was sort of likened by many to Margaret Thatcher. She's sort of Japan's Iron Lady. At the same time, to use a Emmanuel Macron term, at the same time, she is an ultra-conservative. And in many respects, she is like-minded with Donald Trump. She is a close friend and ally of the assassinated former Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. You might remember Shinzo Abe was, sometimes it seemed attached at the hip to Donald Trump. They were golfing buddies, very good friends. And Donald Trump has immediately, even before he's met Sanae Takaichi, seems to have taken a liking to her, saying she's beautiful, on Truth Social, saying she's a person of great wisdom and strength. This is the type of thing, a tough woman. We've seen this in his relationships with Mexico's president as well. Someone that is tough, and he respects toughness. He praises these people. We see all these groveling leaders with Trump, but at the end of the day, the people he tends to respect are the people who are able to really stand up and push back at him a little. That grudging admiration. So, she is ready to do business. The question is, she would like to talk to him on equal terms, on her terms, and not have Trump impose with her. In the run-up to their meeting, she's talked about ramping up defense spending, which is a big deal right now in Japan. Its economy is cash-strapped, but to 2% of its economy. But more importantly, and here's the controversial part, $550 billion investment pledge from Japan into the United States. That is an enormous amount of money for Japan at a time where it does not have money growing on trees. And what's perhaps more insulting to some Japanese, not all, is that $550 billion investment, which we hear has been secured, is going to be dictated by Trump. Trump will be telling Japan, you shall invest nearly $500 billion into our economy, and this is where you shall invest it. So telling them where to invest the money. You could say adding insult to injury, but look, she's a tough woman. I don't think she's going to roll over and play dead with Donald Trump, but she also knows she has a giant auto industry to contend with. She wants to keep those tariffs lower. They're right now 15%. They've been lowered a little. Those automakers stand to lose tens of billions if punitive tariffs more are imposed. So watch this space, but they like each other, Stuart.
Doug, you've got 30 seconds.
30 seconds, I can do
to
this.
say, how does all this fit into Donald Trump's America First policy?
He's mercurial, he's uncertain, he's unpredictable. Nothing new here. We've heard this. All the Asian leaders, each in their own way, have a sort of groveling barometer calculation. They are all saying to themselves, how much do we need and how much should we grovel to Donald Trump in order to get what we want? Japan's former top trade negotiator was said to have gone to the White House, wore a Make America, a MAGA cap, put his thumbs up in the Oval Office next to Trump. He said later that he was purposely, it was part of a deliberate strategy to flatter, to endear himself to Donald Trump. A lot of leaders are thinking the same thing, but they do look at a president right now, a U.S. president, for better or for worse, who's capricious, who can flip on a dime. They want to get on his good side. They don't want to alienate him. They see him sending a virtual armada to the Caribbean right now, stepping up military campaign there. They see him dispatching military troops to cities in America, so on and so forth. They see a government in shutdown in the U.S. They know this is a man who doesn't give in easily. So they are basically calculating very, very carefully and closely.
And that was 47 seconds, Doug.
Was it 47? I went 17. I owe you 17 seconds. Okay, Stuart? Shut up earlier next time.
Doug Herbert, our international affairs commentator here on France 24.